Today's video, we're going to discuss a little bit about differentiation, what that means, and why it's important in our relationships with others and with God. So, how we respond to people depends on our comfort level with them, in our relationship with them. It can depend on their gender, it can depend on their social status, if it's our boss, or if it's our child, or if it's deity, or our spouse, or our mother. There's just so many different factors at play that determine how we're going to respond, whether we're going to be very professional, whether we're going to give the bare minimum detail, whether we're going to gush everything out and just lay it all out there, whether we're going to be sensitive to their feelings, and if it's someone we don't like very much, then maybe we're not going to be sensitive to their feelings. So the person that we're with and talking to creates a different dynamic in how we express ourselves. And this word, differentiation, I found a really good definition in an article, and it basically says, differentiation is a lifelong process by which we become more uniquely ourselves by maintaining ourselves in a relationship with those we love. And so it's essentially recognizing that we are different than the people that we hang around, even though we tend to hang around people who are similar to us, or we act in ways that are similar to our siblings or our parents or our best friends. We tend to gravitate towards people who are like us and have a lot of things in common with us. Despite that, we are still completely different people. And the way that we feel, the way that we think, and the way that we act is not dependent on them and is not tied to them. We are our own agents and our own beings. And it's basically, in a relationship, it's maintaining a sense of self, that I am uniquely my own person, and I'm not going to lose who I am, even as I am trying to grow with someone else, whether it's in a friendship that you're, spending a lot of time together, having a lot of common interests, or whether it's a more intimate romantic relationship where you're trying to put your lives together and start, this new life together. You're still different people, and that's good and that's okay. Going back to our childhood, yes, our childhood plays a huge role in how we see the world and how we are, even if we don't recognize it or believe it. But our very earliest experiences as children taught us to be dependent on others to get our needs met. We, as infants, would literally die without someone to take care of us. We cannot feed ourselves. We cannot keep ourselves warm and walk and run away from predators. We're literally helpless. And so we enter this world very humble and very much needing help. And so as we're growing, we have this figure, this mentor. In an ideal world, not everyone does, but in God's plan, He sends children to a family where there is a caring mother and father who feed the child and take care of the child, clothe the child, keep them warm, and not only take care of their physical needs, but their emotional needs, because children are learning what emotions are. They're learning what anger is. They're learning what pleasure is. They're learning what fear is. And so you're literally dependent on someone else for all of your knowledge and for all of your basic needs. Because there is no perfect parent, then all of our needs are not perfectly met. And so each of us has things that we may not even realize, insecurities, vulnerabilities that we take with us into adulthood, things that were never met that we really needed as a child. And no matter how loving our parents were, their love language can be different than ours. Their way of giving love can be different than ours, and they're not going to be able to perfectly meet all of your needs. And that's okay, because part of changing from a child into an adult is developing a skill of meeting your own emotional and physical needs. The physical needs part is a little easier because it's more visible, it's more seen. We know, like, okay, I'm getting a job now, I'm earning money, I'm paying for my own food, I'm paying for my own rent, I'm paying for my schooling. And that adjustment to being fully financially dependent on our parents over time, as we transition into adulthood, slowly that financial burden comes to rest on our shoulders, and we're paying our car payments, and we're paying insurance, and we're paying for electricity, and etc. So we're taking on that responsibility of taking care of our own needs. However, it's harder to recognize our emotional needs that aren't met. And we often still turn to other people to have those needs met. And so oftentimes when you get married, you kind of have like this demand. You're almost demanding their constant reassurance for your anxiety. Or if you don't know if you're worthy of love, then you need that constant reassurance that they love you. And so then you're like, okay, do you love me? Yes, you do. Okay, good. I'm worthy of love and I'm loved. Or I don't know if I'm good enough. Am I good enough? Yeah, you think I'm good enough? Okay, I'm good enough. And so it's almost like you need their validation and their constant support to soothe your insecurities and to make sure you're living up to and feeling that desired self-image that you want. And it's basically you're saying, I'm okay if and only if you think I'm okay. But if you don't think I'm okay, then I'm not okay. So you have to think I'm okay, and then I'm okay. And that puts so much unrealistic pressure on the other person in a relationship because they have their own insecurities that they're dealing with, and then they have your insecurities, and you're both trying to get each other to fulfill your insecurities, and that's not how it works. You can't, just like you can't rely on your parents to pay for your everything for the rest of your life, at some point you need to become independent in how you're taking care of yourself physically and also emotionally. It puts too much demand on the other person, and it's just not realistic. And so it can create a lot of problems and arguments that are over seemingly dumb things. It's because they're really not over those dumb things. It's really something deeper that you're insecure about or vulnerable about. And so you're demanding emotional needs. So for example, asking constantly for validation, and then people can get sick of it, and then you get mad, and it's like, what, you're mad because I don't like your hairstyle? And it's like, well, no, I'm mad because I needed to be reassured that I was worth something, that I'm beautiful, that I'm worthy of spending time with, and then you went ahead and basically said I'm not because you didn't like my hairstyle, or you didn't want to stay home and you wanted to go out, and so you're basically saying I'm not worth staying home for. And so it creates a lot of conflict. And if we're able to recognize those needs and be the adult and take care of them ourselves, then we're in such a better position to be in a marriage. So essentially, I like to describe that each of us has an inner child and an adult. As we're growing into adulthood, yes, we're adults, but we do have our inner child, those needs that were never met when we were children, or that needs that were met, but they were met by other people. And now as we're becoming adults, we need to learn to meet those needs ourselves. And that's how we can truly come to believe that we have all the tools necessary to be complete and to be happy. We don't have to rely on any external validation or circumstances to feel complete and to feel worthy and worth it. As a daughter of God, I have inherent value and worth. I am worth spending time with. I am beautiful. I am awesome, right? And so I'm giving myself those validations, and I'm not being prideful, but I am simply letting the little child, the little Emily inside of me know, the little Emily that, is worried that people don't like to listen to her, that she talks too much, that people get sick of hearing from her. I don't know what other insecurities I have. That she's not good enough, or that she's too much. Just like all those little insecurities and doubts because of, things that people have told me, or because of messages society gives me, or teachings, or church culture that, expects so much from you as a mother, so much from you as a daughter of Christ, so much in your calling, in just from everything, right? And so you just start to turn to other people to make sure that you are good enough, and you're taught to be humble. And so you're like, I can't be prideful, so I can't, say that I'm awesome, or say that I gave an awesome lesson, or that I'm beautiful, because then I'm being prideful. And it's like, yes, you can be prideful, but what's the intent? Is the intent that you're saying that to look good in front of other people, or to brag, or to one up yourself from them? Like, oh, I'm beautiful and you're not. Or is it, I don't need other people to tell me beautiful to make it true. I know that I am beautiful because I am a daughter of God and He created me. And why would I ever call something that He created ugly? Or why would I ever treat his creation so poorly. I am his daughter, and I am worthy of love. I am worthy of attention, and I'm worthy of being kind to. And so I'm going to treat myself how God treats me and how other people should treat me. And I'm not going to rely on them to meet all my needs and to treat me like a princess and to treat me with the worth that I deserve. I'm going to treat myself like that. And so as we go into a relationship, we focus less on micromanaging every little thing they do and their responses to us, and we're more focused on just being present, I guess. Just recognizing, like, I guess we become better at balancing our need for intimacy, our need to become one and to be on the same page and to be unified, and our need to be independent and to be ourselves and to be able to spend time apart. And so we're able to have intimate moments together where we're bonding and we're connecting and we're building each other up. But then we're also able to go and be our own person, to go spend time with other friends, to go do hobbies that we like doing, to go spend time by ourselves. And that's not a message to your partner that you're sick of them or that you don't like them anymore or that they're not good enough for you. You're simply your own person, and you can be with them and you can be by yourself, and that's okay. By doing that, you are starting to recognize that other people's experiences and other people's reaction, it's not a reflection on you or of you. And so you stop taking other people's actions, the little comments they make, or if they shift away from you, you stop taking that as like, oh, I did something, or they don't like me. And so it's like every little thing they're doing, it's not about you. And you stop taking it to be about you. And maybe sometimes it is, but the thing with this differentiation, it's you're recognizing they're their own person and they're allowed to shift away from you if they need space. It's not a reflection on you. It's something they're struggling with. It's something they're working with. Maybe they're claustrophobic. Maybe they're uncomfortable. Maybe they're really hot. They need some air to like cool off. So you just stop every initial judgment in your head. It stops becoming about you. And you recognize that they have their own reality and their own experiences, and you can experience the exact same thing and have different takeaways, and that's okay. Just like when we read in the Bible, the accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they all tell very similar stories of Jesus Christ, but there are slight differences, and that's okay because that's their own unique perspectives of what important things they took away and what stood out to them, and it's a little different for each of them. And so part of becoming an adult is being able to self-soothe. Essentially, just knowing the insight of differentiation doesn't always help. You can know that knowledge of we're separate people and how they respond is a reflection of how they're doing, not on me. And then putting it into practice is an entirely different story. And so because we can't rely on them to soothe us and to reassure us, because we're becoming independent in who we are recognizing that no matter who we're with, no matter what circumstance we're in, we are daughters of God. We are sons of God. We have inherent worth. We are worth spending time with, including just spending time with ourselves. And so when those little doubts start to creep in, we have to be the one to soothe ourselves and to put the positive thoughts in there and say, so he didn't text me back? That's not a reflection on me. That's a reflection on him. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of spending time with. I am so worthy of connection. And so my happiness doesn't hinge on whether or not I'm texted back, on whether or not a phone call is returned, on whether or not someone remembers my birthday. Rather, my happiness is dependent on me and my relationship with God. And so I hope I'm not rambling at this point. I hope I'm making sense. But essentially, in a relationship, you have two people who are themselves. And in and of themselves, they are unique and worthy of love, worthy of connection. And as they come together, they have to learn how to give things up and coincide together and, be in harmony and be unified. And that takes sacrifice and hard work. But also, they need to be their own cheerleader and not depend fully on the other person. But as you become one and find happiness in obeying God and keeping His commandments, then you will always be happy no matter the stresses that are happening. You can find the humor, you can find the joy, you can find the growth and the fulfillment in every aspect of marriage and of family, because ultimately, marriage and family is the best circumstance possible that's ever created that builds us, because it allows us to more fully understand who we are and who we are not, and allows us to become that way, and fully develop into that sense of ourself, as we recognize the ways that we're different from others and the ways that we're the same from others, and how we can work together with others to create something harmonious and beautiful, but still be our own unique self with our own preferences. And it's okay if those preferences are different than the people around us. The people that we love don't have to love everything we love to still be worthy of love, and vice versa. You don't have to love everything someone else loves for them to love you, or for you to love them, or for you to be able to work together. And so I invite you to think about the ways that you can be your own adult in soothing your anxieties and soothing your vulnerabilities. And oftentimes it really does take Christ, accepting Him into your heart, so that you can treat yourself how Christ would treat you, and really focus on Him and on your relationship with Him. And as you do that, you're becoming a more independent person, because you don't need anyone else to get worth, because inherently you have worth by being a daughter of God.